I never saw it coming. That's the worst part. I had just gotten back from a business trip a day early, eager to surprise my fiancée, Emily. We'd been together for 5 years, engaged for 1, and I was finally in a place where I could give her the life she deserved. A nice house, financial stability, a future. I even had the ring upgraded last month, a bigger diamond, just because she'd casually mentioned how much she loved her friend's engagement ring. That's why, when I walked through the front door of our apartment with a bottle of her favorite wine and a stupid grin on my face, the last thing I expected was to hear laughter coming from our bedroom. Not just any laughter, the kind that's breathless, intimate. I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe she was watching a movie. Maybe she was on the phone with her sister. But then I heard his voice. Come on, Em, you know he's not going to find out. Jake, my best friend since college. The guy who stood next to me at my proposal. The guy I trusted more than anyone. The room spun. I should have turned around. I should have left. But I didn't. Instead, I walked down the hallway like a man marching to his own execution, pushed open the bedroom door, and there they were. Emily gasped, scrambling to cover herself with the sheets. Jake just stared at me, frozen, like a deer in headlights. For a second, no one spoke. Then Emily laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not a guilty one. A mocking one. Oh my God, she said, shaking her head like I was the one who'd done something wrong. You were supposed to be gone until tomorrow. I couldn't even form words. My hands were shaking. Jake sat up, running a hand through his hair. Look, man, it's not what it. Shut up. I snapped, my voice barely above a whisper. Emily rolled her eyes. Relax. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. 5 years. A ring. A future. And it wasn't a big deal. I must have looked pathetic standing there, because she smirked and said, What are you going to do? Cry. Something inside me snapped. All the rage, the betrayal, the humiliation, it didn't explode. It didn't even burn. It just settled. And I smiled. Not a happy smile. Not a friendly one. The kind of smile that made Emily's smirk falter. Then I turned around and walked out. Wait. Where are you going? She called after me. I didn't answer, because they had no idea what was coming. And that was the best part. The moment I stepped outside, the cold air hit me like a slap. My hands were still shaking, but not from anger anymore. From clarity. I got into my car and just sat there for a minute, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I could have driven off, screamed, punched something, but I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and made a call. Hey man, what's up? Came the cheerful voice on the other end. Hey Mark, I said, my voice eerily calm. Remember that favor you owe me? There was a pause. Then, slowly, oh, this sounds serious. It is. I laid it all out. Every detail. The affair. The mocking tone. The way they looked at me like I was nothing. Mark whistled low. Damn. Jake, huh? That's cold. Yeah, I said. And I'm gonna make sure they regret it. 3 days later. Emily had been blowing up my phone nonstop. Are you seriously ghosting me right now? We need to talk. You're being childish. I ignored every message. Instead, I was busy. First, I canceled all the wedding vendors, with a twist. I didn't tell them the wedding was off. I just rescheduled it. Then, I called Jake's boss. See, Jake worked at a high-end finance firm, and he'd been bragging for months about a huge promotion coming his way. What he hadn't mentioned was that his boss was an old fraternity brother of mine, a guy who hated dishonesty. I didn't even need to lie. I just filled in some blanks. By the time I was done, Jake's promotion was dust. But that was just the warm-up. 1 week later, Emily finally cornered me at our apartment. She looked pissed. Where the hell have you been? She demanded. I shrugged. Busy. She crossed her arms. You're really just gonna walk away? After everything. I almost laughed. After everything? Like I was the one who ruined us. But I kept my cool. Actually, I've been thinking. Maybe we should talk things out. Her eyes lit up. Really? Yeah, I said, smiling. In fact, I was thinking we should have dinner. All 3 of us. Her face went pale. What? You? Me? Jake? I tilted my head. Unless you have a problem with that? She hesitated, then forced a smile. No. No problem. Perfect. I picked the fanciest restaurant in town, the kind with a wait list months long. The kind Emily had always begged me to take her to. Jake looked like he wanted to bolt the second he saw me. Emily kept fidgeting, her eyes darting between us. I ordered the most expensive bottle of wine on the menu. So, I said, raising my glass. How long has this been going on? Silence. Jake cleared his throat. Look, man, 6 months, Emily blurted out. Jake shot her a look. I just smiled. Honesty. Refreshing. Then I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. Emily frowned. What's that? A recording, I said, of Jake admitting to insider trading. Jake's face drained of color. You're bluffing. I leaned forward. Am I? He lunged for the phone, but I was faster. I snatched it back and stood up. Here's the deal, I said, looking between them. Jake, you're going to resign from your job. Today. And Emily, I turned to her. You're going to return the ring. And the car I bought you. She gaped at me. You can't be serious. I smirked. What are you going to do? Cry. Then I dropped enough cash to cover the wine and walked out. The next morning, Jake called me. His voice was ragged, like he hadn't slept. You son of a bitch. I sipped my coffee. Good morning to you too. I lost my job. They said there was an anonymous tip about misconduct. That was you, wasn't it? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He exhaled sharply. What do you want? Nothing from you. I said. It's already done. And it was. Because while Jake was panicking about his career, I had been busy with phase 2, Emily. Emily had tried to keep it. She ignored my demand to return the ring, probably thinking I wouldn't actually fight her on it. But she forgot one thing. I had the receipt. And the insurance. And a very pissed-off jeweler who didn't appreciate being lied to. When I showed up at her place with a police officer, an old friend from college, conveniently, her face went sheet white. You're suing me? She hissed. No, I said calmly. I'm just taking back what's mine. She threw the ring at me. It bounced off my chest and clattered to the floor. The officer raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. I picked it up, examined it, then smirked. Thanks. I'll make sure the next girl actually deserves it. Her mouth dropped open. I turned and left. A week later, I got a call from Mark. You're not gonna believe this, he said, laughing. Jake tried to get a job at Carter and Fry. Guess who just got hired there instead? Me. I'd been quietly interviewing for months. And now, I was taking the position Jake had been gunning for, at double the salary. The same day, I posted a picture on Instagram. A casual shot of me at my new office, the skyline in the background, the caption, New Beginnings. Emily liked the post. Then she texted me, Can we talk? I didn't reply. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that Jake had moved back in with his parents. Emily, she was dating some guy from her gym, until he ghosted her after she asked for a loan. Meanwhile, I was in Bali, not running away, not hiding, celebrating. Because revenge isn't about anger. It's about patience. It's about knowing when to strike, and when to walk away and let karma do the rest. As I sat on the beach, watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. Another message from Emily. I miss you. I smiled. Then I blocked her number.